There's a moment most men miss, not because they're careless, but because no one ever taught them what to look for. It's quiet, subtle, almost invisible, and by the time you realize what it meant, it's often already changed the direction of a relationship. Today, I want to talk to you about that moment, and near the end of this video, you'll understand why recognizing it early can protect both your heart and hers. If conversations like this help you see relationships more clearly, take a second to like the video and subscribe. Not for me, but so this kind of clarity keeps finding you. When a woman likes you too much, it doesn't look like obsession, desperation, or dramatic gestures. That's a myth. Real emotional attachment, especially the kind that grows quietly and deeply, shows up in far more restrained ways. In fact, the strongest early sign isn't intensity. It's consideration. She starts adjusting herself around you, not in a fake or performative way, but subtly. She remembers small details you mentioned once and brings them up later without making a show of it. She becomes aware of your emotional rhythms, when you're tired, when you pull back, when you need space. And instead of pushing, she adapts. That adaptation isn't submission, it's emotional investment. Psychologically, this happens when a woman begins to include you in her internal world. You're no longer just someone she interacts with, you become someone she accounts for. Your moods matter to her. Your reactions carry weight. She starts filtering her words, not to manipulate, but to avoid harming the emotional connection forming inside her. Another sign is emotional consistency. Attraction can be hot and cold, desire can fluctuate. But when she's falling hard, her presence becomes steady. She doesn't disappear when things get calm. She doesn't need chaos to feel something. Instead, she shows up in ordinary moments, checking in, listening, staying emotionally available even when there's nothing exciting happening. Many men misinterpret this as friendliness or politeness. But friendliness doesn't create emotional continuity. Politeness doesn't involve emotional memory. When a woman likes you too much, she carries emotional context from one interaction to the next. She remembers how things felt last time, not just what was said. There's also a shift in how she handles disagreement. She doesn't try to win conversations with you. She tries to understand them, not because she lacks opinions, but because the connection matters more than being right. This doesn't mean she abandons her boundaries. It means she's emotionally negotiating instead of emotionally defending. Here's something important many men don't realize. When a woman is secretly falling hard, she often becomes quieter about it, not louder. She protects the feeling, she watches, she evaluates whether you're safe with her vulnerability, and during this phase, she's learning who you really are when you're not trying to impress her. This is why how you show up now matters more than any clever words. Because in her mind, she's already asking questions she hasn't voiced yet. And the answers you give, through consistency, emotional control, and self-respect, will decide whether her feelings deepen or quietly retreat. When a woman is falling harder than she lets on, one of the clearest psychological shifts happens internally before it ever shows externally. She begins to emotionally prioritize you, but in a way that doesn't announce itself. This isn't about rearranging her entire life. It's about where her attention naturally goes when she's not trying to impress anyone. You may notice she brings you into her decision-making process without directly asking for approval. She'll mention plans she's considering, thoughts she's weighing, or choices she hasn't fully settled on yet. This isn't dependency, it's emotional inclusion. In her mind, your perspective has started to matter, not because she needs guidance, but because she values alignment. At this stage, her communication style subtly changes. She becomes more transparent, not dramatically vulnerable, but gently honest. She shares how her day actually felt, not just what happened. She opens the door to her emotional reality in small, measured ways. Psychologically, this is significant. Emotional honesty is risky. People only offer it when they sense safety and potential. Another sign is how she responds to your absence. A woman who is mildly interested fills silence easily with distractions. A woman who is falling hard notices the absence, but she doesn't punish you for it. She doesn't create drama. Instead, she becomes more attentive when you reappear, Her energy softens, deepens. There's relief there, even if she never names it. You might also notice a change in her humor. It becomes more personal, more layered. Inside jokes form naturally. These aren't just playful moments, they're bonding mechanisms. The brain uses shared humor to create emotional exclusivity. Without realizing it, she's building a private emotional language with you. Another overlooked indicator is emotional regulation. When a woman likes you casually, her emotions around you are loose. When she's falling hard, she becomes more controlled, not because she's hiding something, but because she's protecting something. She thinks before she reacts. She pauses before responding. That pause isn't disinterest, it's care. This is also when she starts watching how you treat yourself, not just how you treat her. She notices your boundaries, your discipline, how you handle frustration, how you speak about people who aren't in the room. These observations feed directly into her emotional safety assessment. Attraction may open the door, but character decides whether she walks through it. Here's where many men unknowingly disrupt this phase. They either rush to define the connection or they pull away emotionally to regain control. Both responses create confusion. What she needs in this stage isn't pressure or distance. It's emotional steadiness. If you stay grounded, present without chasing, confident without withdrawing, you create space for her feelings to settle rather than scatter. And when a woman's feelings settle, they don't fade, they deepen. What's important to understand is that this phase isn't loud or dramatic because real attachment doesn't demand attention. It observes, it evaluates, it slowly intertwines. And by the time most men realize what's happening, she has already decided whether you feel like home or just a chapter. As her feelings deepen, something even more revealing begins to happen. She starts regulating herself around you, not out of fear, out of emotional attachment. This is one of the most misunderstood stages of connection, and it's where many men either build trust or quietly break it without realizing. You may notice she becomes more thoughtful with her words. She doesn't speak impulsively when she's emotional. She chooses clarity over release. That restraint isn't emotional distance, it's emotional investment. When someone doesn't care, they vent freely. When someone does care, they protect the bond. Her questions about you also change. They move away from surface-level curiosity and toward meaning. She asks about your values, your stress, your long-term direction, not in an interview-style way, but naturally, woven into conversation. This signals that she's trying to understand how you fit into her future, not just her present. Another powerful indicator is how she responds to your vulnerability. When she's falling hard, she doesn't rush to fix you or minimize what you share. She listens, she remembers, and later she references those moments, not to reopen them, but to show that they mattered. Emotional memory is a sign of emotional bonding. At this stage, she also becomes more aware of emotional boundaries, yours and hers. She may pull back slightly at times, not to create distance, but to observe how you respond. This isn't testing in a manipulative sense. It's subconscious self-protection. She's learning whether closeness with you feels safe or overwhelming. One of the clearest signs is respect for your independence. A woman who is falling hard doesn't try to consume your time. She supports your purpose. She doesn't compete with your goals. Instead, she becomes curious about them. Psychologically, admiration and attachment often grow together. When she respects the man you are becoming, not just the attention you give, her feelings stabilize and deepen. You might also sense a shift in emotional tone. Conversations feel calmer, more grounded. There's less need to impress, less performance. Authenticity replaces excitement. And while some men mistake this calm for fading attraction, it's often the opposite. The nervous system relaxes when it feels secure. This is also where she starts noticing your emotional leadership, not control, but steadiness. How you handle silence, how you respond to uncertainty, how you manage your own emotions without placing that burden on her. These moments speak louder than affection ever could. What many men don't realize is that during this phase, she's emotionally rehearsing life with you in small, quiet ways. Not fantasies, but possibilities. And the way you show up now determines whether those possibilities feel grounding or risky. Because when a woman is secretly falling hard, she isn't asking herself whether she likes you. She already knows that. She's asking whether loving you would feel safe. When her feelings cross a deeper threshold, you'll notice something subtle but powerful. She begins to invest emotionally, even when there's no immediate reward. This is where attachment quietly separates itself from attraction. Attraction seeks stimulation. Attachment seeks stability. She shows care in moments that don't benefit her. She checks in when you're stressed, not because she expects reassurance in return, but because your emotional state now affects her inner balance. This is one of the clearest signs she's falling hard. Your well-being starts to matter in a way that feels instinctive, not calculated. Another shift happens in how she handles uncertainty. When she's casually interested, ambiguity doesn't bother her much. But when she's emotionally attached, unclear signals create internal tension. Instead of demanding clarity, she often tries to create it through consistency, being reliable, emotionally present, and calm, hoping the relationship naturally stabilizes. You may also notice she becomes more patient with your flaws. This doesn't mean she ignores them. It means she contextualizes them. Psychologically, this happens when the brain moves from evaluation mode to integration mode. She's no longer asking, "Is this person perfect?" She's asking, "Can I accept this person as they are?" Her protective instincts may also surface, not in a controlling way, but emotionally. She may defend you when you're not around. She may soften her tone when you're vulnerable. These behaviors signal emotional identification. Your experiences begin to feel partially like her own. At the same time, she becomes more sensitive to emotional shifts between you. Small changes in tone, energy, or responsiveness don't go unnoticed. Not because she's insecure, but because emotional attunement has increased. When attachment forms, the nervous system tracks connection more closely. This is where emotional honesty becomes essential on your side. Not oversharing, not confessions, but clarity. When a man communicates calmly and directly during this phase, it strengthens her sense of safety. When he becomes evasive or inconsistent, it creates quiet distress that she often keeps to herself. One of the most telling signs is that she allows herself to be seen, imperfectly. She doesn't maintain a polished emotional image with you. She lets small insecurities show. This isn't weakness, it's trust. People only reveal their unguarded selves when they sense acceptance. Importantly, she's not looking for promises here. She's looking for emotional congruence. Do your words match your energy? Does your presence feel stable? Do you remain yourself even as the connection deepens? If the answer is yes, her feelings don't overwhelm her. They settle. And when feelings settle, they gain depth and endurance. This phase is fragile not because her emotions are unstable, but because they are becoming real. And real emotions don't demand intensity. They require respect, patience, and emotional maturity. Many men never realize this moment happened until much later, sometimes when it's already past. But when you recognize it in real time, you have the opportunity to meet her where she is, rather than unintentionally pushing her away. As her feelings deepen further, a quiet internal shift takes place. She begins to emotionally self-regulate with you in mind. This is one of the most profound indicators that she's falling hard, and it's rarely talked about because it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. You may notice she pauses before expressing frustration, choosing timing and tone more carefully. This isn't suppression, it's discernment. She's weighing the emotional impact of her words because the connection matters. When someone doesn't care, they release emotion immediately. When someone does, they consider the bond first. Her sense of emotional responsibility also expands. She becomes aware of how her moods affect you. If she's distant or quiet, she may later clarify, not to explain herself away, but to prevent misunderstanding. This behavior reflects emotional accountability, a hallmark of deep attachment. Another sign is how she handles reassurance. Instead of directly asking for it, she looks for it in your consistency. She watches patterns more than promises. Does your tone stay steady? Do your actions align over time? Psychologically, when a woman is falling hard, she stops listening for words and starts listening for emotional reliability. You may also notice she gives you emotional space without withdrawing connection. She doesn't crowd you when you need solitude, yet she remains emotionally accessible. This balance requires maturity and trust. It signals that she's not trying to secure you through control, but through presence. Her empathy toward you deepens as well. She doesn't just hear what you say, she senses what you don't. If you're under pressure or distracted, she doesn't personalize it. Instead, she adapts. This level of emotional attunement only forms when attachment has moved beyond curiosity into care. At this stage, she also becomes more aware of her own boundaries. Falling hard doesn't mean losing herself. In fact, healthy attachment strengthens self-respect. She may gently assert needs she previously overlooked, not as ultimatums, but as honest expressions. This isn't resistance, it's integration. She's bringing her full self into the connection. Many men misunderstand this moment and interpret it as increased sensitivity. In reality, it's emotional clarity. She's no longer guessing what she feels. She knows, and now she's aligning her behavior with that truth. What matters most here is how you respond to emotional honesty. When a man remains calm, grounded, and receptive, even when conversations are slightly uncomfortable, her sense of safety solidifies. When he becomes defensive or dismissive, she learns to retreat emotionally without announcing it. This phase is where emotional trust either stabilizes or erodes. Not through grand gestures, but through small, repeated moments of understanding. Because when a woman is secretly falling hard, she isn't hoping you'll change your life for her. She's hoping you'll stay emotionally present as she quietly lets you matter more than she ever planned. At this point, her feelings have moved beyond evaluation and into emotional acceptance. She is no longer asking herself whether the connection has potential. She is sensing whether it feels sustainable. And this shift changes the way she relates to you in ways that are easy to overlook if you're not paying attention. One of the most revealing signs is emotional steadiness during calm periods. When excitement fades and nothing dramatic is happening, she remains engaged. She doesn't manufacture intensity. She doesn't disappear to feel wanted again. Instead, she becomes comfortable in emotional quiet with you. Psychologically, this is significant. The nervous system only relaxes like this when it feels safe. You may also notice that she begins to trust you with her inner contradictions. She shares thoughts that aren't fully formed, feelings she hasn't neatly resolved. This isn't confusion, it's intimacy. She's allowing you into the process, not just the outcome. People only do this when they believe someone can hold complexity without judgment. Her expectations also become more realistic. She stops idealizing you and starts relating to you. This doesn't reduce attraction, it grounds it. Infatuation needs fantasy. Attachment needs truth. When a woman is falling hard, she chooses honesty over illusion, even if it means seeing your limitations. Another subtle sign is that she no longer seeks constant reassurance through attention. She doesn't need frequent validation because the bond has internalized. Her sense of connection comes from emotional memory and consistency, not constant contact. This is often misunderstood as complacency, but it's actually emotional security forming. You might also notice she becomes more invested in emotional repair. If there's a misunderstanding or tension, she wants resolution, not to avoid loss, but to restore harmony. This is an attachment response rooted in care, not fear. She believes the connection is worth maintaining. During this phase, she pays close attention to how you handle responsibility, not just toward her, but toward life. Your commitments, your discipline, your ability to follow through. These traits signal long-term emotional reliability. Attraction may draw her in, but reliability allows her to stay. Importantly, she does not pressure you to define the relationship prematurely. Instead, she watches whether your actions naturally move toward alignment. Healthy emotional attachment doesn't rush, it observes. What she needs from you now isn't intensity, charm, or persuasion. It's emotional congruence. Are you the same man in uncertainty as you are in comfort? Do you remain grounded when emotions deepen? Do you communicate clearly without withdrawing? Because at this stage, her heart is no longer experimenting. It's deciding, and the decision isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It forms in the background of ordinary moments, in the way you listen, in the way you respond, in the way you remain present without trying to control the outcome. This is where real connection either solidifies into something lasting or gently dissolves without conflict, not because of lack of feeling, but because of lack of emotional alignment.